heading over to the spot, pick you up around 9. Meet me in the parking lot, never make it inside. We're getting out of here tonight. Yeah, we'll go anywhere you like. Yeah. 9/11, it's a heist, stole my heart, gave me life. No, I'm right, baby. I don't get my type on, yeah. She 11 with the lights on, yeah. Bite my neck just like a python. Breathe it right into my lungs. I took a hit, it's a crib, see my medicine. Before it's all said and done, you precious for the night that's gotta wake you up. I'm heading over to the spot, pick you up around 9. Meet me in the parking lot, never make it inside. We're getting out of here tonight. Yeah, we'll go anywhere you like. I'm breaking, cop lights, baby, I'm racing. Cause you're the only music I'm facing. You gon' leave my heart sedated, yeah. She just got it, but she wanted. Fell from heaven, she a weapon when she comes to me. I find it comforting. Though I'm bluffing, she got me restrained. Buffering, yeah. I sold the plans for your demands. I need the spare cash to pay my rent. I'm suffering, still confident. Break me loose, stay confused, baby. I'm heading over to the spot.
Wow, it feels so new in here. It just smells like that new show smell. Welcome, everybody, to the live stream of the AEA, not the Actors Equity Association, the All Elite Action.
You had me. I thought I was union. It was going to be great.
I know. Soon enough. We are all here together as the hosts of your favorite before split and siloed shows, all dealing with AEW. Tonight we are coming together because most of us would like some nights back on our calendar. We'd like to actually spend time with our children, and Mikey just likes to have a night off every once in a while. So we're here to discuss the last week of AEW programming. We have, of course, Mikey on the ones and twos and telling us all what to do. We've got Adolfo and Alice, just Alice, because we need the duo from New Jersey to keep us on track. And we've got what happened last week, which is usually just what the professor has yelled at him anyways whenever he's walking down into school. We're just happy to be here, really. My name is JVL. Professor and I and Mikey do Dynamite. Mikey usually does Rampage with Adolfo and Alice on occasion. And then Adolfo and Alice really just do Collision by themselves. Mikey's just there on occasion to help them out. So why not put it all together for all y'all and make this a fun evening? I think that's what we're going to get to. We're just going to talk that through. But of course, if you haven't yet subscribed to our channel, thank you for being here and being pulled in by the algorithm. Why don't you go ahead and do that? Click that little bell button to make sure you know when this comes out. You can also join us on Patreon, get some fun perks there, maybe buy some of our merch so Mikey can actually fly out to come see us, which would be nice. Or we could go to Adolfo's and sleep in the murder basement, one of the two. And
there's a lot of murder on that New Jersey side. Like, that's just been a theme. Like, even pre-show, we were discussing lots of murder. I'm not sure if that's just a thing or a hobby or I don't know.
It's pretty professional from what I've gathered, but either way,
fair.
We're going to jump into this. And the way it's going to work is that while all of us have the opportunity to watch all the shows, if we didn't, we don't have to chime in. We don't have to jump on those things. But the cool thing about this is that we're going to see how the week has like moved through each of the storylines, where things went to, and kind of pick up the threads as they go along, or just let Alice tell us we're wrong because she's usually right. So
thank you. That's new to me. So good. I need to know this. So it's deferred to Alice for is this correct or not? Okay.
Her perspective is basically what is the right way to think about the rest of
Oh,
this.
I'm so ready for you
Listen
to.
what she says.
So can we? I feel like an underlining theme, and I'm not hijacking anything. Can we just get like a racism meter for MJF? Like he started at like xenophobe 1 or 2,
right? Yeah,
and then
Well, I mean, that's already there. Let's just jump into what kicks
look
off
at the
Dynamite.
segue on that guy.
Wow. How high is the Confederate flag flying right now in his little meter there? But
he did that shit in white pants, which remarkable thing. Mm.
I mean, it's a subtle metaphor, Professor, for what he's getting at. MJF starts off our Dynamite, comes out with the American title. God, I hate calling it that. And starts out to run down the crowd in South Carolina because there's only one true America, and that's a small town in the middle of New York State that no one cares about. And continues to kind of denigrate Will Ospreay, the entirety around the title itself. And we get a rebuttal, as we thought, from Will Ospreay, actually bringing up past winners, past holders, Pac including, and really kind of just like beefing up that title while still getting booed by the crowd as the babyface. Professor, could Will have done anything else to get past MJF's extreme xenophobic racist type of doing what he's doing, or was this just a losing battle from day one?
I mean, because we're trying to build towards we're going to another country and America's still the greatest, right? So we're trying to go to that direction. So I think we'll just kind of lean into it because that's where creative and or MJF wants to go. I mentioned this a little bit before we started. I think that the extreme heel turn, MJF was better as a heel. We know that going back 2 years ago was a fantastic heel. We talked about that at length. And then had the face thing, the Adam Cole thing, still our scumbag, all of that. Since he's come back, he's really tried to force feed that look at me, I'm the bad guy again thing. What's hard, and I know JVL will understand this, and improv folks will, there's still that wink at the audience though. Yeah. There's still that I'm in on the joke thing. Yes, I'm a huge, horrible person, right? Like, and that's why I don't think it sells the way it should. And he's sort of cutting the legs out of his own joke in that way, right? If he had gone full, I'm trying to think of the xenophobic heels of the past. Not that we need it anymore, but like there was no
your Hulk Hogan's, your Ultimate Warriors, your
sure, right? Like if then we would have seen the pure mask on top of it, and I think we could have seen it a little different. If that makes sense, that's sort of a theater behind the wall thing.
Yeah,
so I think Will Ospreay, whose promos have gotten better, I think he's sort of a little stuck in how do I respond to. So it felt kind of flat. Who saved the segment, and I don't even want to talk about the match because we don't need to. Who saved the segment was Kyle Fletcher.
He did, right after everybody died. Because as we know, Lance Archer needed to yell that out as he comes down to have a fight with Will Ospreay. But that was more of a squash than probably should have been for Will Ospreay. He tried to fight back. It was too much. Mikey, did enough people die for you, or are you just sick and tired of seeing Lance Archer kind of coming out that way on main roster stuff?
Alice has an opinion.
Ooh.
Sorry. I'm going to tag Allison after I finish what I'm saying. Because my biggest issue with Lance Archer is that we have no direction of where we're going with his character. And he's just there to murder people for the sake of murdering people. But it's not clicking because he's always on the losing end unless it's a squash match against a local talent. Like, there's no clear direction for what we're doing with Lance Archer, which sucks because, you know, in the early years of AEW, I was like, okay, I can see Lance Archer doing some stuff, and then where'd he go?
Like pre-moonsault injury is basically what you're talking about.
Yeah,
that guy did moonsaults.
He landed on his head pretty hard about 4 years ago, and so he's no longer doing them.
It was very scary to watch live on television. But I'm gonna tag Allison because I know she has feelings about Lance Archer. So
yes, Alice, why the righteous better than Lance Archer? Basically, is what we're asking.
I don't understand where they're going with Lance Archer. You know, they're just like, oh, big scary man. He's like, I'm the biggest and scariest man in AEW. No, you're not. No, you're not. That's Brody King. But okay. like, so they're trying to build him up being like big and scary and like, just squashing all of this local talent, but there's really no direction. There's no storyline for him. It's like they're trying to figure out what to do with him, and they haven't yet.
Yeah, I feel like when he's in ROH with the righteous, that there's more of a direction of what he's doing and who he's supposed to be. When it's like when he has the white pants on, he knows what he's doing. Maybe it is something with the white pants.
White pants, man. It's,
right?
They do something to you.
He comes up to AEW, he puts the black pants on, and he's just like. So,
I mean, that is an uncanny impression of him right there. Very nice at all at that point. And this week was red pants, so that's why it was a little more off-putting because he was more like low doing it, almost like he was like hobbling. But as the professor alluded to, we jump straight from that kind of weird match. He's getting beat up by Lance Archer. MJF comes down to kind of hit him a couple times, and Kyle Fletcher appears out of the crowd with Don Callis in tow to save Will Ospreay. He's his best friend. Professor, they set up like on mic Kyle Fletcher telling Dom that this isn't business for the family. I need to take care of my friend. Is this a good way to set up that kind of like move away and set the two up to bring in, the United Empire, or is this kind of just like shoehorned in because we only have so much time before All In to get everything set up?
I think that's it. I think they're going to force it. I think they're going to try and move as fast as they can to get that breakaway to happen because we knew the moment Ospreay got in the family that it was like, eventually we got to get you out of here. How are we going to do this?
Right.
I think we're setting up some sort of unholy union between MJF and the Don Callis family. I think that's where we're going to go, which is not too appealing to me, but I think they're going to do that friends of my enemy thing and however that's going to be.
So not the pinnacle, but the zenith, because obviously that's different.
Yes. Dolfo.
Has it been a fast break though? Because I feel like the seeds to Kyle Fletcher breaking from the Don Callis family had been sown when Will Ospreay came, and in some of the earlier maybe 2-3 months ago, when Will Ospreay was like, yeah, no, Don, I'm not,
sure.
Thank you for what you did that one time, but we're cool. And it feels like since then, Kyle has been shifting further away, and especially now with Roosh and with best friend, no longer best friend,
Trent Beretta, who is also
with
out.
Trent,
Injuries.
and now with Roosh and Trent coming in, it felt like that break has been widening even more.
You're right. We just haven't seen Kyle Fletcher on Dynamite.
The main problem has been that with the injuries and Takeshita being in Japan, they've stalled it. So they pushed and then they didn't go forward with it for a while. So now this is like they threw it back into gear. We're popping the clutch and we have a week to go. So
there were a few moments there where we were like, oh, this is going to happen. Oh, we're going to see the thing. Oh, the bit. And then we had plot lines.
The problem is that we had the story because those seeds started to be planted way back during the spring when we were at Daly's place, because when Will initially won that battle royale to face for the international championship.
Yeah, y'all might be right. Yeah.
And so I think the problem is because with the injuries, with Takeshita kind of killing it in the G1 right now in New Japan, and then on top of that too, like we gave Kyle Fletcher was also ROH, world television champion at the time. So he was also doing that run, which was fantastic. I'm still mad we haven't got a rematch yet, but that's neither here nor there. We kind of just stopped and started a lot of this because then the Don Callis family was like going after other people for a little bit. And now we'll be like, oh yeah, I forgot. We have this storyline. Let's get back to it. I'm like, excuse me, what? Like, what happened?
Yes, you host with the cute ears.
Yes, thank you. I think the prof also did hit the nail on the head in that a lot of those storylines did happen in ROH and Rampage and Collision, but this is really the first time you see it on Dynamite. So
it's new to Dynamite.
We'll mute ourselves now.
No. Don't mute. I love this because we all know a little bit about what's been going on in each other's shows, which has been great. We have pop thing. So please pop in, give opinions on it.
And I'm sure, I feel like
everything.
Rampage and Collision feel like they're their own, like they're a little more concise. Dynamite's an island.
Yep.
We get echoes of other stuff that all of a sudden Dynamite does something. It's like, oh, that was cool. What is he talking about? Oh, this happened on Rampage. Oh, you got to show me the thing that happened on Rampage. Oh, okay, great. Because it's kind of on the Wednesday show.
Yes, in the middle of the week.
Yeah. What else? What else was interesting? What else you want to talk about for Dynamite?
Well, obviously we want to talk about the thing that you, Professor, glom onto every single week.
Gosh.
That you love to death, which is Humongous Wilhelm.
Yay!
Through a promo with a cake.
It's so good.
I hate the learning tree. I hate the learning tree.
I hate the learning tree. But Large William is so good at being bad. It's so great. It's perfect. He can't even hold a cake. He's holding it like he's never seen one before. Oh, it's so good.
How do you make Alex Marvez look competent? You put him next to Large William.
Poor Alex Marvez is like, I don't know what a cake is either. I don't know what it is.
We're just dragging out this feud, and it leads into what we get in Collision, which we'll talk about when we get there. I was like, we're dragging this feud out.
It's the same promo they've cut every week so far, just with the variations of Large Wilhelm not doing things right. Yes. But that's basically setting up the next thing going into the weekend and kind of what's going to be set up for Rampage and Collision. Not much to it other than that. Then the cake apparently is delicious to Alex Marvez because they bought it at Costco.
They bought a whole cake. He ate some of that frosting, and then they probably tossed the cake. Like, that poor cake.
We don't waste money in food in this household.
I know. Eat the cake.
Everybody that's on here, though, I got to ask, though, because I'm skipping past the learning tree. It's not worth the time.
No, please.
We're done.
Because the next
we do that on Collision, too. We skip that.
The next match is what it was worth watching.
Yes.
Chris Statlander do an eliminator match against Willow Nightingale and seeing the two of them tear each other apart in the most brutal way they have in a while without actually getting injured. I was pleasantly surprised that we got this on Dynamite, which I know this usually goes on Collision, goes on Rampage, where they would have these awesome matches. I felt spoiled. I don't know about you, Professor.
They got a good. I'm trying to get a timestamp on here. They got full time, like they let it run, which never happens here. No. Something the two of them did, and this is a tiny thing that I noticed as a fight choreographer. Sometimes the female presenting wrestlers will grab hair and pull hair, and they mean it. Boom. Whereas men pull hair and they like, let me grab this as you stand up. Willow holds her like a suitcase, like 3 or 4 times, just goes, I'm going to pick you up by the cranium. Like, oh God, that hurt. This was great. They were working snug, as you could say. They were hitting each other super hard. The fact that Chris Statlander can go full chicken fight with Willow on the show and just stand up like it's nothing. And then drop her down and then go like just really showcases the strength and trust that they have. And the women are great. Give them more time. Do more of this. More of this.
Mikey, I also have to ask, because you have the biggest opinion on Stokely Hathaway and how he's been kind of growing in this role. The entire intro in the dark this time and him just screaming out things about Statlander, has he gone fully over the hill of just kind of crazy manager? Or is he still...
I think he can go crazier. I'm going to give my thoughts in a little bit, but I'm going to tag in Adolfo here because Adolfo is also very familiar with these two women because not only do they cross-pollinate into the other AEW shows, but on the grander wrestling scheme as well. So Adolfo, I'm tagging you in.
Okay. No, I actually just had a question. Did Chris Statlander get the chance for the CMLL championship?
Yes, she did, because even though she cheated with the chain from Stokely,
Chris
technically did win.
Interesting.
Then proceeded to beat up Willow afterwards with the chair, doing more damage, trying to get her down before the match itself.
So we are getting that match. We don't know yet if it's going to be on AEW television or if they're going to fly out to do battle in Arena de Mexico for
I hope they take it back to Mexico and do it in Mexico.
I think it'd be very fun if they had a simulcast during All In.
Yes,
up to Mexico.
Cool.
For that match.
Be like, now we go over to Arena Mexico for the following contest.
So tagging you back in, Mikey.
Tag back in. No, I think Stokely Hathaway can go crazier. We know him to go crazier. I do like him in this role. I really enjoyed this match. Again, I'm never going to complain when Willow and Chris do battle in the ring against each other because they always bring it. And, I feel like a lot of people don't talk about that. They're slowly kind of making their way up to being a solid foundation for this current women's division in AEW. Yes, we have our timeless Toni Storms, and yes, we have our glamours Mariah May kind of taking up the main championship spot. But you got to admit, though, I mean, we would progress, this Mercedes Britt Baker feud, but somebody in that feud got suspended.
They bell to bell
again.
Bell to bell, they got 13 minutes. That's unheard of.
They got on pay-per-view for the last time.
Wow.
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 You can tell we're all neurodivergent. We're just going to keep making sounds. Kind of like Bryan Danielson does when Jeff Jarrett appears on screen, because we had the rehash of his interview after the last pay-per-view where he's talking to Renee about going all in on this last little bit in his contract. Jeff Jarrett then makes the most awkward promo about really giving it his all. Then he sits for no reason. Then he stands for no reason. We talked at length last week about
Jeff don't worry,
more promos.
This promo makes its way back through Rampage and Collision 2, and I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. I saw it 3 times this week.
But Danielson ends up in the ring to address the rumors that that night his contract is basically up. It's the end of his contract. He promised his daughter he would stop. First he said stop. Now he has backpedaled and said I will stop doing it full time. Is what I told my daughter now.
That's going to go over great.
There was a joke on commentary when Bree's name came up where Taz thought he was funny and said, didn't know they were big fans of cheese here in South Carolina.
Taz just needs to go away. I was like, you're back? Okay, fine, I guess.
Taz is that guy who's like, I don't need a lawyer. I'm going to represent myself. I'm like, okay, great. I don't need a writer. I'm going to do my own jokes. Great. Go ahead. Do your that. That just says stuff out loud.
The problem is Taz is also that guy that says that and then gets bankrolled by a wealthy patron who has no taste in anything. So, as we have here, we then get in the ring. Swerve is coming down and does his typical ride that line of "I am not a bad guy, but I'm not a good person." Swerve, including bring up the family at the end, but also talking about how Danielson just may not have the grit for it, and if it was anybody else, he would be happy that Danielson's in the title shot, but he's going to take him down. Mikey, the writing on this, or at least the delivery, was spot on for both of them. They definitely got right up under each other's skin. How excited are you for Wembley, and do you think there's even a chance that Swerve loses the title?
Now that this match is officially title versus career, as we made it abundantly clear at the very end of this promo, I don't know. I'm still 50-50. My first inclination is like, okay, if it's title versus career, then I'm pretty sure they're going to let Danielson beat Swerve. However, wouldn't it be a crazy idea that even though everything that has transpired, and we know how good Danielson is in the ring, I think the Rocket will take Swerve into the multiple galaxies that are out there if he beats Bryan Danielson, who is like, let's be honest, at the very top, maybe top 5, top 10 of the AEW's men's division. And, I don't know. I'm still 50-50 because it could go either way. I could see them giving it to Danielson to drop it at, I would say, Wrestle Dream in Washington, which is his home, which would be nice. But I can also see them strapping that multiple rockets to Swerve and taking him from the stratosphere into the galaxy by having him beat Danielson. And then the other thought in me is they'll make it go to a time limit draw.
Yes, Adolfo.
I feel that there's an X factor that is being forgotten, and that is Hangman Adam Page.
Okay.
And how his whole reason for existence right now is to destroy Swerve Strickland and everything that he loves. So when we talk about All In and when we talk about Danielson Strickland, I feel that we need to include Hangman and Adam Page into this conversation, especially now that Swerve at Blood and Guts, that Swerve fought on Team AEW against the EVPs. So that's
I think
I'm probably
Adolfo's
alone on my island.
Adolfo. No, I agree with
I like
you
Matt.
on your island. I could see your flair from your island. I like your island. I would like permission to dock at your island. Please come. Yes, I think it speaks to me that All In is going to have shenanigans in this match because they can't do it clean one way or another and get out of it unscathed. They're going to do something with Hangman. They're going to do some sort of EVP, some things. Title doesn't change hands, but how do you do that and still make everyone in Wembley love you? We'll see what they do. I don't know.
Well, here's the other question for this, because we have the next follow-up promo backstage. Well, we're still dealing with Jarrett and Total Nonstop Assholes. Do we see Jeff Jarrett stepping in to cost Danielson, and like they cancel each other out at this point? If we have a Hangman and Jarrett, like an El Kabong goes wrong, or something like that.
I'm still a little confused that Danielson walks up to Jarrett and he's like, you know what? I need a match with you next week. Why?
Well, and then they changed
there was no reason.
They changed it over the course of the week, too, because by the end of this, when we got the bumpers for Dynamite, it's like they're just going to have a singles match. And then on the bumpers on Collision, which Adolfo and Alice can attest to, they literally changed it. We got 2 changes where Ricky, the Dragon Steamboat, is going to be guest refereeing. And then this is an anything goes match just because. I was just like, I thought you were trying to keep Danielson in one piece before Wembley. Like, what?
Are we going to do the Chicago Arena concessions match? Are we going to go back to that? Is this what Jeff Jarrett is now?
Another face is going to make an appearance.
Oh, there's got to be a condiments match again.
Yeah. The only thing I can think about this is that if, in the grand scheme of things, Danielson does lose, okay, and his career ends, he's probably getting those last matches with the people that he wants to wrestle, that he's always wanted to wrestle in.
Sure.
Yeah. That's where my thinking with this Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, I was like, that's what that feels like. A Jeff Jarrett match feels like this is my, hurrah, I get this match with Jeff Jarrett. Woo!
I think you're right. I think that's kind of what they did for Sting. I think that's kind of the, hey, I'm on my way out. Adam Copeland, they're obviously setting up something else for that years down the line now.
But why Jeff Jarrett?
Why not?
I don't know.
So many other people.
If he grew up watching Jeff Jarrett,
you're right,
and he gets to wrestle the Jeff Jarrett because Jeff Jarrett's 85 and he's still there.
Whereas I'm sitting there going, if you really wanted to run back like a Danielson career run, you have him face Jay Lethal, the ROH title holder that he beat when he took it last time. Like, you don't do Jarrett in Total Nonstop Assholes, you do Lethal.
I don't know, man. I'm not retiring. I don't know. Maybe he just really wants to hurt Jeff Jarrett. Like, maybe that's,
or maybe he wants some gold,
or maybe they both are going to jump in the ring and do the strut together.
That's all it is.
It's
just strutting.
Just going to strut.
Speaking of strutting to the ring and making complete fools of yourselves, our 3-man tag that we had after this was. I went into this thinking it was going to be one way, and you know what? The ending fully surprised me, but also made me sad. We had the obviously long-time running, really well put together team of Roderick Strong, the Beast Mortos, and Roosh versus the actual team that's been around for about a week or two in Mark Briscoe, Orange Cassidy, and Ishii.
The conglomeration.
The conglomeration itself. Mikey, tell me why you want to see a Beast Mortos Ishii match really bad now.
Because technically both of them have no necks. Just kidding. Anyway, so when I saw this on paper, I was just like, I'm gonna be honest. I was like, well, okay, conglomeration, easy dub here. Like, they never let these guys, the combination of the heel team, they never win.
We thought Beast Mortos was eating the pin on this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, Beast Mortos, I thought was gonna eat a pin. And then by the end of this, Beast Mortos was involved in the pin, but he wasn't the one getting pinned. He was pinning your ROH World Champion, Mark Briscoe. Yeah. I'm just I was shocked, and my brain started going, does that mean we're going to get a championship match down the line between these two? Because I would be here for it. But then I thought about it. No, they're probably going to forget about it. Because then fast forward to Collision, I was like, oh, never mind. We balanced the scales once again. But I thought this match was fine. I enjoyed it for what it was. The ending did make it a little bit better because I was like, wow, the heels actually won this one. I was like, good on Dynamite. And then I took it immediately back by the end of Saturday evening.
Morto's doing all that wearing a sheep's head.
And he changed it again on Collision. Like, he changed it again.
It's the
What are you
white
talking- he's a beast.
the black mask.
What are you talking about, Mask? He's a beast. He's an actual beast.
I know
Oh my
nothing.
Gosh, here we go again.
He's a
There's
shapeshifter.
lore.
Yeah.
There's a whole lore behind it.
Oh.
He has Samoan tattoos all over like his shoulder. And
Yeah.
everything else. Okay,
Yeah.
makes sense.
Oh, he came walking out of a
Yeah,
cornfield.
buddy.
Got it.
This is not
Alright.
Jeepers Creepers. What are we talking about?
Cornfield in like what, the middle of America somewhere? Like he's an Iowa native?
No, actually, I think he is from either. I think he's from either CMLL or AAA.
It's CMLL. He's a CMLL guy.
Yeah. Because he was not the Beast Mortos when he was with
When he was
CMLL. He
Black
did have a
Taurus.
different name.
He was Black
Yeah.
Taurus.
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
I think he was with
Um,
AAA because he was also in TNA, and TNA does a lot of business with
Yeah.
AAA.
No, what's AAA? Because he was going against Vikingo for the title for so
Yeah.
long. And when he had,
Yeah.
because he had a more like Minotaur mask before this.
Yeah.
So nice that we have someone joining us.
I know. Of course, Minnie. Hey, Minnie, you can't talk because you dipped out on us for SummerSlam yesterday. I'm still mad at you. Just kidding. Love you.
Oh,
Ew.
Such
Ew.
anger.
Dun, dun, dun.
Is there anything? What else is worth talking about Dynamite? Because we got 2 other promotions to get to.
Camille squashed somebody.
Camille, that's the
Camille
big one.
squashed somebody. That was actually
The squash is great. We know Jamie Hayter's going to come back and
that was cool.
The Tony
Darby
Storm
out.
promo after the Mariah promo was a kind of a cool back to back there with her bashing herself in the head with a shoe.
Yeah, I like
That-
I like seeing the psychosis creep in on Tony Storm. I thought that deserved more time. I felt like that was like, why did you truncate this when we had this bloated Daniel Bryan and Swerve
No.
thing? But I get it.
Mhm.
We know why.
You know why? Alice, I've angered you. I'm sorry, Alice.
He's questioning.
I was gonna say because it's a women's championship. That's why.
Oh yes, then yes, we know what. Yeah, I thought you had. I was like, shots fired. What happened? No, I'm with
Yeah.
you.
It's like we've been saying this for a long
Yeah,
time.
we've been
Ratings
preaching
have
that
been,
for
like,
long. You're
down
absolutely
because of
right. You're absolutely right.
Was Money Corporation just a veiled Money Incorporated 2.0? Is that what she's going for? She's Ted DiBiase now.
Sure. Why not? I guess. Again,
So
it's
makes Camille Virgil.
I guess it's really hard to build up this feud, especially when one half of the parties involved in this feud are not on television. Again, we brought this up earlier, but damn it, Britt Baker, I was just like, she got suspended, and I'm so mad.
Again, MJF comes into the chat, but we ended
Right.
the evening of Dynamite with Darby Allin versus Hangman Page for apparently the first time since they've both been in AEW. They've never shared a ring before.
That's wild.
And Hangman obliterated Darby, as we thought he would.
Well, Darby obliterated himself.
Let's keep it all the way 100.
Darby's just like, I'm just gonna go die. Stop doing the death things. There's some risks Darby took here that he only took because it was Hangman Adam Page, and there was some stuff here that I had not seen before. The moonsault off the rope, Adam Page holding him up, got ridiculous there. I don't think I've seen that done quite like that. That was pretty cool.
He's never done it with an opponent that's less than 180 pounds.
Fair. Jumping off the, I guess that was the heel entrance, jumping off the heel entrance for the coffin drop and some of the other things. Like they took some crazy, ridiculous risks here. I did not think that this was going to be Darby pinning Hangman.
For the schoolboy.
And now we just have Hangman in this sort of I am RoboCop, murder, kill, death, destroy.
She wanted to kill the referee, and I love the shot
Yeah.
of Darby just flipping off Hangman from the ramp.
Yeah.
I was like,
So
you go, Darbs.
I'm pretty
How
sure
this
Darby's,
builds up your feud with Jack Perry, I don't know, but this was a fun match to watch.
Darby definitely hurt himself on that coffin drop onto the ramp.
He always hurts himself, man. This kid is
I
gonna
know,
retire
but,
next
like,
year.
Yeah, there it is. He goes straight. Hangman catches him, but the momentum's too much. He goes square hip to ground.
As we've talked about many times, Darby is a walking advertisement for stem cell therapy. It's just basically everything he does to keep himself together. But that was Dynamite. That was the big kind of like blowout we had going into this week. And as you alluded to, Mikey, there was a lot of continuation as we went into Rampage and into Collision that seems to have furthered the storylines better than what we had on the damn show that we watched. And I cannot wait to hear about this, but I'm going to throw it over to that crew because the Professor and I apparently don't want to talk to each other anymore because the Professor just moved me along.
Wait, what? I did? I'm still here. What? I didn't do anything. I'm getting accused of a lot of things here.
Between you two now?
What happened? I was here quiet. I said nothing.
I don't like it when Daddy and Daddy start fighting.
I'm gonna go do my eyebrows and hit myself with a shoe.
No,
Sullivan? Yeah, that'd be great.
Don't do that. Well, I mean, there was a continuation. So JVL, we're gonna tag you out, and we're gonna tag Adolfo in because now we're getting into the fun stuff. So this should be interesting.
It's tonight. It's Rampage. So really quick question for JVL and Professor. Is Daddy Magic on commentary in Dynamite?
No,
Rarely. Every now and then he just does something, but it's been a while.
Okay, he'll jump. He's like the fourth man of the booth, but he won't. He's not regular because that's Taz for us, which is wonderful.
He's way better though. He's fantastic.
100%. I love him to death.
All right, so it looks like Matt Menard is now officially part of
full-time
the
commentary for Rampage
commentary team. So
that's great.
We did have his Daddy Magic's dulcet tones ringing in. Our first match of the night was Wheeler Yuta versus the Butcher. It was an entertaining match. I will admit that it was an entertaining match. Had some odd spots like Wheeler.
Why was he a vampire?
Yeah.
What was he doing?
He was like biting
the
butcher's neck. He bit the butcher's neck.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was bizarre. He was encroaching on Darby territory.
So biting is not a DQ anymore. Like it's just okay, right?
Apparently not.
Apparently.
He learned from his guy John Moxley taught him everything he knows, how to bite things really hard. It's what it is.
Right, yeah. And then Wheeler did win. He by this really weird submission move.
Yeah, it was weird.
I've never seen it before, but he picked up the win. And this did bring us straight into the Bryan Danielson announcement swerve that we saw on Dynamite.
It's just a replay.
It was a replay.
Second time.
Brian, I apologize. I forgot to say that Bryan Danielson during Wheeler's match did come out on commentary.
Okay.
So that kind of tied that whole thing in there. So if anyone forgot that it's Bryan Danielson's career on the line, it's Bryan Danielson's career on the line.
Just all of the AEW television there, Adolfo. Come on.
The next match we had was Brian Cage versus
Manny Lowe. It was
local talent number one.
Talent, Manny Lowe. And it was a squash. There was really nothing to.
Someday local talent's gonna win one of those.
Right.
I live for that day.
Each day I'm like,
yes, this is the day.
If the 1, 2, 3 kid can do it, someday it's gonna happen to some other.
But really quick, has Brian Cage been showing up on Dynamite for you all, like with the Gates of Agony, with the Cage of Agony, or
before Blood and Guts, and before it was before when Swerve first got the title. When he was going up against that, they were
been that long? No,
they turned on him. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
just because the last few Rampages and Collisions he's been on,
and he's been solo.
And he's been solo, so I'm not sure.
He's been doing that on ROH.
Yeah, so I'm not sure like what they're.
It does feel like every time I see, there's a few wrestlers. Every time I see him on Dynamite, it's like, oh, you're back. Where you been? Like, doing it.
Rampage and Collision.
Yeah, because Rampage Collision.
I haven't seen Malachi Black in 3 years.
We'll talk about him because his presence was made known on Collision.
We'll get to that.
Are going to fangirl.
So, yes. So this brings us to a backstage segment where we have Kyle Fletcher with Don Callis being interviewed by Renee, again going into why Kyle Fletcher needs to fight MJF, and Don Callis like, no, Kyle, no, shouldn't do that. And then Brian Cage comes into the picture, and he's like, blah, 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 Kyle Fletcher. And Kyle Fletcher's like, well, I'm blah, 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 blah. And
he said,
boom,
I could use a warm up before MJF.
there we go.
I can
And
use
boom.
a tune-up, and so he
That's
challenged
Brian
him to a match
Cage?
on Collision.
Yes. He's gonna
Alice,
fight budget Wolverine.
Adolfo's baby daddy.
Hugh Jackman on Wish.
He is- but yeah, so this was all set up for a collision match of Brian Cage versus Kyle Fletcher.
But then I feel like we saw a really interesting side of Don Callis here.
Yes.
Because Don Callis is like, what are you doing? Like just gonna kill you, and we don't get paid by the match. What are we doing here? I'm
That's
like,
a really good
"Ooh,
Don Callis.
is that?" Thank you. That's what he sounds like in my head. But like, is this fear, Don Callis? Are you afraid of something? Right. So I thought that was interesting, but I also we start to see again even more the separation between Kyle Fletcher and what he wants, and Don Callis and his family and his machinations.
Yep. Because the other thing we see in this spot is Kyle, for a lack of a better term, shutting Don Callis
Yeah,
up.
he like put his hand up and was like, I got this.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Because all we got was referencing Sky Blue and like saying how awesome he is with her on Dynamite. So that's great to hear that he's actually like working what's in the ring, which is great.
Interesting.
So then our next match, we have Nyla Rose versus Harley Cameron. Hey, did you all know that Harley Cameron can wrestle?
No.
No.
Right?
No.
It seems
haven't-
like
Haven't seen it over here.
No, but
every few
This is
months
Harley
they
Cameron.
have to have a match where we're reminded that Harley Cameron can actually wrestle.
Wrestle.
Yeah, because to be honest, like me, when I saw this match on the card graphic, I thought it was just going to be a Nyla Rose squash
Agreed.
match.
Nah, they got 8 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they got it, and Harley got some good offense in there. Nyla did end up winning with throwing a beast bomb and getting a clean 1, 2, 3. But
No
it
Saray
was,
interference?
huh?
No Saray interference.
No,
Soraya was
Soraya
already
wasn't there.
No.
Harley
That's
on her
interesting.
own.
In fact, it
Mm.
sounded like when Harley was doing her intro that it was supposed to be Nyla versus Soraya, but she was otherwise occupied, so Harley came in her stead.
Or
Cuts
Saray sent
promo
her out
to-
instead of her.
Right,
Yeah, that part
exactly.
too.
Mhm.
So,
This was exciting though. I don't usually like Harley, and I was like, I like you right now. This is good.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was a good match for Harley,
Yeah.
even though she did lose. It was a well fought match. To which, if we see more of that Harley Cameron on our screen, I'm all for it. You know what I mean? So then we get the professor's love interest, Large William, and he comes out with the Bad Apple Brian Keith versus local talent
Number 2.
Jackson Drake, and Brian Keith.
You beat up
wins.
Drake?
He beat us.
Yes.
Kendrick Lamar set the Bad Apple to finish the feud.
He's like, he's not like us. Boom! Just
Ain't not like us. Ain't not like
yeah,
us.
so good.
Yeah.
Love it.
It was. I admit. I will say though that this match was kind of annoying in that Brian Keith did not need Large William to interfere to
No, he
win
did
this
not.
match. But
Nope.
Large William still interfered for Brian Keith to win this match. So it was
Because he's Large William. He's always going to do the wrong thing.
That's all that he does.
Yes.
Is
And
he
that's
has
what he
Large
does.
William he interferes.
Yep.
It's just,
I'm large and I can stand here. Haha.
That's right.
And it's
So then
so bad.
then after that we got the spot of the night where we got Speak and Spell Shibata.
Oh my
Yes.
God.
I miss
Um,
speaking spell Shibata.
I
We
miss,
love
Yeah.
Shibata in this household.
I miss cameraman Shibata.
Yeah.
Cameraman Shibata was really good too. I
That was
like
good,
Cameraman
too.
Shibata.
But yeah, he was just talking about his upcoming match, you know, and how he loves he has family in North Carolina or something like that. It was funny.
Shibata?
He did all the speaking spell. It was like, I have family in North Carolina.
And then they were like,
Oh.
really now?
Right?
Oh,
Everybody's like,
it's so funny.
I love
It was great.
Shibata
It was-
so much.
it was
In
a
the
good spot.
Appalachia.
Yep. And then we get to the main event, which I will let you.
Oh
Yes.
yes. The main event, our main event here was the MXM collection versus Private Party.
This match actually slapped. Like,
Oh my
It
God.
was amazing. I was
Oh my God.
legitimately laughing out loud while we were
it's like,
watching
oh
this.
my god, is that Private Party?
Is that Private Party?
Did they beat Private Party?
So MXM did get the win on this one. I was a little disappointed. My boys, Private Party, you gotta get a win.
Yeah.
But
Have they
I
had
love-
one since they came back?
No.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah, they're taking the pins a lot.
They got
but-
hosed 3 weeks in a row over here on Dynamite, and then went to Rampage, and seems like they got rocked over there too. That's
Yeah.
I think
They're heading,
Yeah.
they're heading to ROH.
I think the problem is that all of AEW across all 3 shows for AEW, they are leaning too much on. And don't get me wrong, I love the Bucks and I love FTR, but AEW seems to rely on them way too much when we're trying to do tag team storylines.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
it is, in my opinion, that you include some of these teams that have been here since day one. So they're technically busy with ROH at the moment, but I need Top Flight and Private Party to actually start getting some flowers here because
Yeah.
they've been here since day one.
Don't
Top-
you take my stuff from ROH. I need my tag teams down there because I'm not using the other one.
I'm just saying, let them hold the ROH Tag Team Championships, and I want to see something good for Private Party. Like, they've been here
Yes.
since day one.
So, quick question for JVL and the Professor.
Huh?
How much MXM collection have you all been getting on Dynamite?
We get it a lot in ROH.
Yeah, I was just saying, I haven't seen them on Dynamite. I've only seen. I saw their first match at Death Before Dishonor, but still.
Right.
Like maybe once or twice in the last 2 years. Not much at all.
Okay.
They've-
Because they are, and JBL saw their first match. They are super entertaining, but at the same time, I feel that certain tag teams won't play with them nicely.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
How so?
Because like I was surprised
That-
on last week's collision
FTR
when
played nice with them.
FTR
And
played
leaned in
nice
with
with
them.
them.
It was so
And
fun.
leaned in.
Leaned in, yeah.
Yeah, because they do that modeling shtick.
Yeah.
Mid fight, like they
Mhm.
will pause everything to hit a pose. And I don't think that there are some tag teams that would
Yeah.
play nice like that.
But like Private Party did that. Like
Private
they
Party
did that.
Yes.
They went to go do their like silly string signature move, but instead of actually completing it, they landed and struck a pose just like MXM.
It was good.
Stop.
It was
Very good. More. I want more.
Yeah, I would say not for technicality, but just for pure fun, that this is going to be a match I might be revisiting for my top of
Really?
the year.
Interesting.
I just
Yeah,
pulled,
'cause it was-
I
Most
just
teams brought it.
I just pulled it up just now. This looks
Incredible.
fun.
It
Yeah.
really
It's-
fun.
It's
I
it
was
is.
gonna say the same. Right now I think about the Will Ospreay Swerve match and this one, Private Party versus MXM, because it was so much
It
fun.
was a lot. Yeah,
So much fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Makes sense.
So then this brings us to Collision, Mikey.
Excellent. So now I'm gonna tag in, and we are going to be moving to Collision. So,
Yeah.
all right, we got a lot to talk about. I mentioned this at the very beginning. Collision tends to be hit and miss when it comes to the storytelling. Like, the pacing can be good or it can be all over the place. I'm gonna be honest, it was kind of all over the place here, but we did get some fun stuff. So let's talk about the big thing that kicked off the show, because we had the whole entire patriarchy come out with Christian holding all the trios championships on his shoulders.
Of course.
So we love it.
That's
And
15
Christian-
pounds of silver there, folks.
I mean, Christian can actually still hold all that weight on his shoulders because he is the father of the world, apparently, according to him in this promo, because he basically talks about how great he is, but then he also makes sure that he hands the trio championships to the other people in his family who he loves and supports dearly. He cuts his promo. Nick Wayne gets one because Nick Wayne is the son that Christian never had. And, Nick Wayne's kind of getting the shine here. He'll also be getting the massive beatdown by the end of this, too, which we'll talk about.
Have his promos gotten any better? Or is he still a little weird?
I mean, he had that one promo against Kit Sabian, but, it's getting better, but he hasn't been talking too much. Then we get probably my favorite part because, we might be getting a turn in this family at some point, but, Killosaurus, Lucha Switch, whatever you want to call him these days, Christian does the same thing. He's like, buddy, you are large and in charge, chunky yet funky. Oh, that's Latrice Royale, the drag queen. Never mind. But he basically talks about how Luchasaurus is doing all the work. And then as he proceeds to give the championship to Killosaurus, he does a pivot and gives it to Mama Wayne for being the best mother on the planet.
And for siring a prodigy.
Yes.
That's true.
For messiahing the prodigy is Christian's words. It was wild. Luchasaurus was pissed.
He gonna get angry. He's gonna get mad someday.
I thought we were gonna see the turn then.
Really?
We might have, because he
like,
wants to go grab Christian, but before we get to see any of that, the Kings of the Black Throne come out. So Brody King and Malachi Black come out. Malachi is holding a microphone. Doesn't even need to say anything, because then Christian just berates the, House of Black, reminds everybody that Buddy Matthews was taken out of the equation. And so they're no longer a trios, but it's more like a tag team, and even offers a spot for Christian to become their dad. It was really interesting. But then, the lights go out. And when they come back on, we get the return of Buddy Matthews. So now House of Black is back in full force.
Buddy Matthews.
Yep.
Buddy Matthews, who asked Tony Khan to go help mommy, and Tony Khan responded to him, no, it's okay, because Jey Uso is there to handle that situation.
That's hilarious.
It was so fantastic. But no, it gets crazier, because House of Black then, tries to attack the patriarchy. They split. They get out of the ring. They try going up the ramp, but then they were cut off by the Bang Bang Gang. So we have Juice Robinson and the Guns, bottlenecking the entrance ramp. Everyone ducks through. Everyone spreads out. Nick Wayne goes in one direction. Mama Wayne, Christian, and Luchasaurus go in another. It looks like Nick Wayne's going to get away, but no, he gets thrown back into the arena by Kip Sabian.
Yeah, a shadowy Kip Sabian appears, throwing Nick Wayne back.
Wow.
And poor Nick Wayne catches these hands because he gets beat up from the Bang Bang Gang and the House of Black. Everything just goes wrong for Nick Wayne. But then the Bang Bang Gang and House of Black have a stare down. So I'm like, oh my gosh, we're actually doing something with the trios division now. Thank the Lord. This made me super happy. I'm like, the whole House of Black is back together. I missed you.
That's great.
Yeah,
fantastic.
I'm hoping that Buddy and Malachi, with these new contracts and with whatever they got, that they got some sort of stipulation on there that they can add to the trio's creative or something like that, because this was a great segment to really rejuvenate the trio and get interest back into the trio's championship, which I feel that step one was the Guns losing to the patriarchy, right? Yeah. Just because Christian, he has this way of making something that has been like a joke, feel like it means more, because he did that with the TNT championship,
Yeah.
And in what little time they've had the trios championship, I feel like he's done that as well.
Sure.
And so just to see these other teams coming after it, I feel just builds excitement for the trios division.
We talked about that on other promotions too, where if you put that title on the right person, someone with character or poise or whatever they're selling, and you put the arc behind it, or you get them some sort of actor motivation or whatever else, and you let it ride. Yeah, someone like Christian, bring prestige to that thing. Initially, all the TV titles for, at least since I was a kid, were always kind of garbage. Nobody wanted the name of the brand of the thing and the thing title. Nobody wanted that. But if you can get us paying attention to it, and which Christian did for this, it's wild. So I think it's great for trios. I like the hint of Killosaurus turning.
Yes.
I wonder where he goes and what he does.
I'm excited.
So excited.
I think there's other factions that he would do better in and more work with. I don't know as a solo what he could and can or can't get away with. Who knows? But I like watching him. I think he's kind of stuck right now in this arc they've given him.
Right. And I'm happy that they put some stock behind these trios championships because they've been sorely missing. I can't say the same thing for our other trios champions because we got a quick backstage promo from Dustin Rhodes and the Von Erichs, your Ring of Honor 6-man tag team champions. Literally, this is the same promo we got in ROH, but for the AEW audience. So, Dustin's on this one last ride. And then, Sammy Guevara is now back. So Sammy comes up and he's like, I want to be part of this group. So Dustin Rhodes is like, you've earned my respect. So Sammy Guevara, being the local Texas talent, since we're in Texas for the next couple of weeks here for Collision, is going to be with the Von Erichs and Dustin. So there's nothing more I can really add to this. It's basically your generic is like, we're here for this ride. We're going to bring honor to these championships. I'm like, I hope so. So
we're going to make sure Marshall doesn't screw up in the ring again and make everyone else
the fact that Jack Jameson was better in that match than he was is sad. It was it made So we move on from this and we get again, this was a last minute match. They're like, hey, we just got the talent. Let's just figure this out. Did I enjoy it though? Yes, I did, because we had the team of Místico from CMLL and Hologram taking on the team of the Premier Athletes. So JBL's like, I know how this match goes.
Premier who?
Oh.
Yeah. I was like, who? So
exactly.
And Arya Davari.
Not even the good ones.
Yeah, I was just like, Josh.
There are good ones?
Yeah.
Josh Woods is great. But Josh Woods is off doing something else at the moment, I guess, which somehow he's managed to come away clean from the Premier Athletes. Then again, he's not there, so who knows what's going on with him. But
exactly.
This match was fun for what it was. I did not know we were going to get it. Místico and Hologram doing all the crazy stunts. Yeah. Obviously, Místico and Hologram do have a working relationship before, because Hologram was a former, AAA star, and him and Místico.
Yep.
Totally John Cruz. Super fantastic. But
yes.
This was a fun tag team match. And again, me and Adolfo here, because we also had to watch CMLL. This was fun for Western audiences. I was like, this was also nerfed. I was like, poor guys were nerfed.
Yeah, it was nerfed Lucha Libre.
Nerfed Lucha Libre. So this was like this was like the Del Taco version of Lucha Libre. Like, it was for American audiences. It was made for them. I still had a good time with it, but I know what both Hologram and Místico can when they're paired up with actual good luchadors. Like the match between last week with Beast Mortos and Hologram, like that match slapped.
I think we saw Hologram once on Dynamite like 6 months ago. And then never saw him again. But in that one match, which I think that was the 4-on-4 CMLL came out of the crowd gang fight thing.
This would have been different because Hologram came from AAA, and at that time, CMLL and AAA were still beefing with each other.
Oh, maybe it was different then. Yeah, I think
which they still are. Hologram's been getting a big push on Collision. I'm not sure if they are going to bring him onto Dynamite. I mean, I can just because of Collision Rampage, I can see him on Rampage as well. But my question for you, Mikey, and for you, Alice, is do we think that Hologram and that Lucha Libre presentation, once they move Collision out of Texas, because they're having this stint at the in Arlington, once they move it out of Texas, where you have a strong Lucha Libre fan base, do we think that this Hologram character is going to get the same type of pop? Let's start with you, Mikey.
I think it depends on where they go with Collision, because we know that certain cities who are made up of certain populations will probably be more kin to it. Obviously, Texas crowds, there's that history with Lucha Libre in Texas and Mexico with that working relationship. California also has a big Lucha Federation over here. There's also big ones in Washington and even back east, and even a little bit of Florida. It just depends on where they go. The problem is that what has helped with Collision is they've also established like every week there is certain talent we're going to be seeing all the time. So it's like established like, okay, these are the folks you're going to see on Collision. I'm afraid that if once Collision leaves Arlington and we're back to Collision being in different cities every single week, I think that's going to hurt like who they get to use for Collision depending on who's available. So I would love to see Hologram. I think he will get pushed in certain states. It's just a matter of how they push him and then who they have him fight. Because that also depended. Like, honestly, if we wanted to test Hologram out against like one of the mainstays in AEW, put him in a match against, even though we talked about this kid's going to retire by the end of next year, Hologram versus Darby Allin would be an interesting litmus test for him. Because we've seen him fight Beast Mortos. He can team really well because we saw this with him teaming with Mystico. But if he wants to be a mainstay on this AEW roster, I think having a litmus test against one of your mainstays, either on Collision or Dynamite, would be great.
Orange Cassidy.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Orange versus Hologram would be a match I want to see. But I'm a tagging Alice here. So,
So I love Hologram. He's just so much fun to watch. I am a little afraid that once we leave Arlington, that the crowds are not going to be as receptive. Because one of the things I've noticed, I mean, Arlington, the crowd in Arlington has been wild. Like they have been so live, and whenever Hologram comes out, you can hear people in the crowd. They're cheering like Lucha Libre, like they're literally cheering that. And I feel that in other places there's not, like you said, such a big fan base. I hope that they do continue to push Hologram because I think he really adds to the programming. But I think there will definitely be a different reception, maybe a calmer reception in other places.
All right. Back to you, Mike.
Yeah. So, I mean, speaking of the Arlington crowd, not only were they hot for this match in which Hologram and Mystico, gathered, again, for the third time this week, we got the same Jeff Jarrett Danielson interview segment recapping what also happened earlier on Dynamite. We're not going to go into that again because we have women brawling. First and foremost, I'm going to put these two segments together. First, we have the Glamour. Mariah May come out on commentary. She calls Tony Schiavone a little bitch, which was hilarious to hear.
Oh.
I was just like, she went in. I was just like,
she did.
I was like, oh.
Can I speak?
Yeah. It was.
Oh, that's what she said.
I believe you. No, yeah, I'm very intrigued. Yeah.
She was fighting commentary, calling Tony Schiavone a little bitch. Like,
I mean, she learned well from her mentor before she broke her heart because Tony Storm would do the same thing to them, but also in a different way.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Tony Storm, Tony was scheduled to have a match, but she forgo going down the ramp to the ring, and she literally walked herself to commentary, and she and Mariah started brawling, and Tony's opponent was even there. She's like, really? You gonna fight? We have a match. Like, she gets involved too. Like, she comes out and she starts fighting Mariah and Tony. Security separates the two. And then, of course, this leads into Tony's match. This doesn't last long. We don't even get the name of the talent because Tony wins in like 2 whole minutes. And then that's it.
I believe they said her name was the Fashionista. I believe that's what they said. And the announcer said that.
But wait, she was a local?
Yes.
Yeah.
And she got to play into this?
Yes, and then she got beat by Tony Storm in 2 minutes.
That's a cool opportunity to actually get to jump into the arc like that. That doesn't happen for local talent ever. That's actually really classy. I like that.
And what was even funnier is that commentary, once Tony got to the ring and started the actual match, commentary was tripping over themselves trying to get out the stuff about Fashionista, and then the match was over.
It was over. It was over.
And then Tony and Mariah are going back at it.
That's rad.
Cool. I mean, we're continuing this feud. I'm looking forward to this match at All In. It's going to be fantastic. We get a promo before his match. Kyle Fletcher cuts it. It's fantastic stuff from Kyle. We get a recap of bits and pieces of MJF's promo in CMLL, which was, which we'll talk about more about that tomorrow during CMLL. But which then leads us into our next match: Kyle Fletcher versus Wolverine himself, Brian Cage. Kyle Fletcher is so fucking good, you guys. Like, Brian Cage is also great. This was a fun little match. Kyle was diving left and right. I was like, sir, you need to relax. You're fighting MJF on Wednesday. Like, and also Brian Cage was like, oh, okay, you think you're the only person who can fly? Wee! Like, it was so good.
Yeah, they were all over the place.
It was like a good 10-minute match. Kyle Fletcher wins. Again, Kyle Fletcher cuts a promo on MJF, and MJF, like in his fake Australian accent on the Titantron, agrees, because originally on Dynamite, it was just going to be a match between Kyle and MJF, and now it is a AEW American Championship Eliminator match on Wednesday. So shenanigans are going to get involved. MJF's probably going to pull out the diamond ring. Poor Kyle Fletcher's not going to win, but you know what?
I'm glad they're doing a bunch of stuff with Kyle Fletcher, though.
Yeah,
I do.
Kyle Fletcher, who can we say Kyle Fletcher's a friend of Iconics? Because you all met him once for a few minutes. Can we say
he took the monster that I brought for Sky Blue? And he's like, that's my favorite monster. Sure, why not?
He's such a goofball, and I love that they put him, Queen Aminata, Layla Hirsch, and AR Fox all together in like one part of the whole convention. It was so good. But speaking of good things, I was confused at first because after we get Jeff Jarrett and the squad cutting a promo, building up what's happening on Dynamite, they randomly,
Bryan Danielson is going to be next strong for this match.
Sure, fine. I hope so, because that would suck for him not to be able to face Swerve. But our next match surprised me because of the fact that they're like, hey, we're going to have a random number one contenders match. I was like, excuse me? So this was a 3-way Continental Championship number one contenders match. So winner goes on to face Okada for the Continental Championship, because they're like, oh snap, we forgot we have another singles championship in AEW, and it's being held by the Rainmaker Okada. And so this consisted of representing BCC, Claudio Castagnoli. We also had your ROH Pure Champion, Lee Moriarty, Mr. Taiga Style himself, involved in this match. And then we also had the Stone Pitbull of New Japan, Tomohiro Ishii. So yeah, this was a match that happened. I did not expect us to get a number one contenders match, but we did.
Yeah.
I mean, it was okay. Here, I'm just gonna be honest. I'm mad because Taiga Style took the pin. I was like, but fine. I was like,
the Pure Champion took the pin.
I guess it was to balance out the scales with him not taking the pin last week on Collision.
Bringing ROH title holders up to take pins. I'm getting sick and tired of this.
Yeah, so Claudio Castagnoli wins, so it's going to be Claudio versus Okada at some point for the Continental Championship. I wouldn't be surprised if they threw it in all in.
That's
on
fun.
Paper, it's going to slap. But I was just like, they're like, oh yeah, I forgot. We have another championship. We need to find somebody to face Okada, because you can't have Okada not be at Wembley. Like, that's a crime in itself.
Watch him end up at 0 hour.
Oh my gosh. Don't
Claudio and Okada on at 0 hour.
That would be horrifying.
Along with Mariah May and Toni Storm.
Oh my gosh. If those two girls end up on 0 hour, I'm not watching All In. We're not reviewing it. I'm sorry.
That might cancel AEW for all of Biconics forever.
Right.
It's like, we're done, you guys. We're done. We can't do this no more.
Yeah.
Like,
message sent.
Really quick, just about this this match. The most entertaining parts of this match was Claudio Castagnoli going against Tomohiro Ishii.
yeah, that was awesome.
Really?
I want to see those two again.
Isn't Claudio would tower over him, right?
He does, but that's what makes it so
that must be
funny.
great. Like, I'm picturing in my head, like, that's like a straw and a bowling ball. Like, there's
because Claudio's like this, and then they start like slapping each other, and they're no selling, and they're yelling at each other.
Claudio's a lot taller, but Tomohiro's built like a linebacker. Like, he is so much wider than Claudio. It's fun. He literally is a bowling ball, which I was surprised Mr. Bowling Ball didn't get pinned, but you know what? It is what it is. Poor Lee.
I think he's got something in him where he can't lose during this run in AEW. Like, it was just something he set up because he has not taken a pinfall his entire time he's been here.
Weebles wobble, but won't fall down.
Yeah.
Speaking of people who won't fall down, my enjoyment of MXM Collection will not fall down because we get a promo from Top Flight and Layla Gray. So that whole little faction with MXM Collection interrupting them. And basically we're teasing a match or a feud with Top Flight and MXM Collection. I'm like, I'm kind of here for this. I was like, MXM Collection needs to find somebody to add as their female like member so we can have a 3-on-3 with Top Flight and Layla Gray fighting MXM Collection and whoever they decide to grab. Where like
this was a hilarious spot.
MXM Collection is gold. So keep them on television. Like, just throw them on all the programs right now. Like, the pop that they get too is nuts. Like on Rampage, that crowd was so here for MXM Collection, and I love them so much. So we get led into like the actual women's match that actually got somewhat time this evening because we have Thunder Rosa taking on La Güera Loca herself, Taya Valkyrie. And this match stems from weeks of what we've been telling because Taya has helped Deonna beat Thunder in the matches that they had during the Lumberjack match 2 weeks ago. Taya helped Deonna win by giving her like the wrench for the turnbuckle to hit Thunder with it. This was a fun back and forth, but you know, my girl Thunder, our girl Thunder does pick up the victory here, which is nice because she's been on the losing end of this Deonna feud a lot. I'm not bitter. But I am excited, though, because we get this promo from Thunder Rosa, and I quote, Deonna Purrazzo, get your ass out here. Like,
and she did.
Yeah.
And she did, which it was nice. Like,
a stellar outfit.
Yes. You go, Deonna. We love it. So, Deonna.
Right.
Yeah. So, Deonna
blinded by the glitter. Sorry.
I was like, oh, my eyes. You know what Deonna and MXN Collection would be? Never mind. That's neither here nor there. So Deonna reminds everyone the fact, and it reminds Thunder too, that I have beaten you on multiple occasions. Thunder fires back saying you've won because you either cheated or you've gotten help. But now we're going to need to put a definitive end to this. So next week on Collision, it's Deonna versus Thunder Rosa in a Texas bull rope match. So the rope is coming out. That should be good. Yep. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
I hope Thunder wins. Thunder kind of needs to win this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want her to win too.
Yeah. I am not. I know it was last week or the week before when we were talking about this. There was a discussion about like burnout with Deonna and Thunder. I feel this is good. You know, once we get this Texas bull rope match done with, then I think we're good. You know what I mean? I feel like it did get, maybe a little bit slow kind of in the middle here. But the matches that Deonna and Thunder have put together have just been really fun and entertaining matches. And let this be that final piece.
Let them both move on to something else.
Yeah.
So from here, we go into our main event. This is an 8-man tag team match. There's a lot of bodies being thrown around here. And when I say this match was chaotic, this is not a hyperbole. This is fact. Because I had to watch this match twice because the cameramen, like, there was bodies and cameras flying everywhere. Like,
yes,
this was on 100 miles per hour and it did not stop until the end. But we have Darby Allin, Mark Briscoe, and FTR teaming up to take on the team of the entirety of the Undisputed Kingdom. So Matt Taven, Mike Bennett, and Roddy Strong. They're teaming up with the Beast Mortos in this one. So this is an 8-on-8.
Beast Mortos.
The undisputed Beast Mortos, because he has yet to take a pin in ROH and he is undefeated in ROH. Again, bodies were flying everywhere. Everyone was hitting things. FTR doing tag team action with, the Kingdom. Though I could watch those two teams fight every single day. It would be gold. Darby, killing himself half the time in this match. Beast Mortos also flying around the place. Roderick Strong hitting hard. Mark Briscoe doing chicken kung. Like, literally, this had everything and more. Like, I can't give you exact play-by-play because this match was just all over the place. Everyone was just fighting. There was beefing involved. But Darby, Mark Briscoe, and FTR do take the victory here.
I do just want to give the shout out because Beast Mortos, every time he got in the ring, had a huge pop. So, you know, that was cool to see, you know.
I mean, he's built momentum since Death Before Dishonor, like getting that crowd on his side, because he has definitely won them over, at least in Texas.
Yeah. It was really nice to see the comparison, because whenever the Beast Mortos was in the ring, there was a big pop, and then Roddy Strong, and they're like,
boo.
Amazing.
Great.
Amazing.
It was so good. It was so good.
Roddy Strong.
So that was our main event. It was a fun way to end Collision. Oh, we're not done yet, because we got a segment, because I looked at my television and I was like, we have like 5 minutes. What's about to happen? So FTR and Darby and Mark Briscoe are celebrating the ring. Mr. FTR Burt Reynolds gets on the mic. Also known as FTR Bald. He gets on the mic. He cuts the usual promos. It's like, we love this business. We love Collision. We love, all these things. And then they cut out his mic because he almost obviously said, "Oh, F," because he gets interrupted by the Acclaimed. So the Acclaimed with Daddy Ass, they come out. Okay, so here's the 411.
The Dark Acclaimed, may I?
Oh, they brought the heat with this promo.
The Dark Claimed? All right.
The Dark Claimed.
They were giving heel energy. But so my Dynamite boys, that that not too long ago, Acclaimed was with Team AEW in Blood and Guts a couple of weeks ago. Oh, yeah. And they definitely had probably the better spots. Max Caster getting super kicked with the tacks in his mouth. Anthony Bowens going through the stacks of tables on the outside.
Right.
And you know what? They still are number one contenders for those tag title shots against the Young Bucks. But as we saw in the promo, they called out the Young Bucks. They called out FTR. And you know what? They made good on their promise, because they're here to, talk to FTR and handle some business, because the Acclaimed during this promo reiterated the fact that they don't like that FTR has the Acclaimed's name in their mouth and feels that they deserve to cut the line to face the Young Bucks for those tag team championships. So, but what I loved about this whole entire promo is because the Acclaimed leaned in more heel, and they were not wrong with what they're saying, because they basically said FTR is just like, you guys are phony. It's like, you don't mean what you say. If you really love this company, where were you on Team AEW fighting alongside with us against the Elite in Blood and Guts? You talk a lot. Like, Max Caster went in and Anthony Bowens cut through the jugular, because Anthony Bowens basically told FTR, you ain't shit. Like, don't you dare talk about us like this. Don't you say we're not serious. Don't you overlook us because we're young. And it's just like, if we have to, we are going to fight to face the Bucks for those titles and bring prestige to the tag team division here in AEW. And then the point blank period that Anthony Bowens ended on, and basically says, we're going to establish your legacy. We're going to establish a new legacy for these tag team championships while you are being overshadowed because you don't have that legacy anymore. Basically telling FTR they ain't shit no more.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then a brawl breaks out.
Yeah, well, and Mark Briscoe tries to be the diplomat, and he's like, this is what they want. They want us to fight each other. Y'all need to shake hands. And the Acclaim just
FTR offers a hand, Acclaim with Daddy Ass. It's like, nah, we ain't shaking hands, and they leave. But yeah, they brawled for a little bit too. I was just like, yes. I was like, I'm here for the Acclaimed. Like, it's made me love the Acclaim even more. So that's how Collision ended.
I like them being used better than they have been in most of the other stuff in AEW.
Right. So that is how Collision ended. And, we've reached the end of this AEW, triple show block.
Yeah.
Wow. We did it. This was great.
We did it. So how do we empanada this thing?
So that's
a lot of this.
because not everybody watches everything.
Are
I
these
think what
in
we'll do is just
different
like,
plates of empanadas?
I will say this.
Adolfo gets mad at how I empanada because he doesn't
He
like that
gets
I leave
mad at
half
all
on
of
the
us
table.
having
or-
empanada.
How the hell can you eat half an
Empanadas in his
empanada?
island.
Come on.
You're
Come on.
mad.
Okay, here's what
SmackDown had a 0.75. Like, imagine that. Like, just a nibble, and then we left it on the plate.
Okay,
What?
so here's how we'll do this. So I think this is a fair scale. I will say that JVL and Professor, we will get you guys to go first and grade Dynamite.
Okay.
Adolfo and Alice, I'll get your guys' score for Rampage and Collision together, like we normally do, like what we did before, since this was a weekender block. And then I will give my overall rating for the whole entire week since I watch everything. So I'm gonna start with JVL. Dynamite. So a lot happened. What do you give Dynamite for, this past week?
Dynamite going into All In, basically. They could have done better, but they did decently enough. I'm giving this one a 6.5. I left a half on the plate, Adolfo. I'm sorry.
Adolfo's like, I'm done with the show. I'm not doing it no more. Professor.
I would have eaten the other half had there been another women's segment.
That is also
Fair.
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 Yeah.
Justice for the women's division. Professor, same question.
I agree. Going by the sort of standards that we always have, you take a few points off for not using the women correctly. How do you cut off Tony Storm? Like, how do you lessen that clip of the whole thing? How do you let Daniel Bryanson do such a bloated thing, even though we know we're leading up to what we led up to? But then to show that on every other AEW property for the rest of the week, it's not fair to let that bleed into this review, but I'm taking points away for overusing that.
Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, we're at 6.5, almost 7. It should be 7, but we're building kind of towards something. We didn't do the MJF racism scale, which we could have, but we let him slide on this for now. But if he keeps wearing
Don't
white
worry,
pants,
that's tomorrow. We're gonna do the race.
might have to bring that back.
Tomorrow.
So yeah, I ate 3/4 of an empanada. Adolfo's gonna get mad.
Did you eat my other part of my empanada? Is that how we shared, or like?
I ate your half of the women's empanada, and let's not make the joke that's implied in that.
That's what's implied.
We love it. So now I'm going to come to Adolfo and Alice, Team A and A, if you will. Rampage and Collision. We combine those two because it's a Friday that leads into the Saturday show. So, Alice, I'm going to come to you first. How would you rate Rampage and Collision from this past weekend?
Okay, well, I'm gonna break your rules a little bit. So
do it. Your husband does anyways.
That's almost like we're married for a reason or something. So I had so much fun this Rampage. Previously they've been really bad, like terrible. This is the most fun I have had watching a Rampage. Period. So for me, I'm gonna give Rampage a 10. Because of how much fun I had watching it. Yeah. So Collision was lower. So if I'm going to combine the two, I'll probably go with an 8. Because if I was rating Collision by itself, I would have given it a 7.
You sure there's not like a half or a quarter left on the table somewhere? Or just...
You could leave a half
She
an
knows.
empanada on the
No,
plate.
she knows.
You got to speak for your own. I see how it is there.
All right, Adolfo, same question. You're probably
8
gonna
out of
break the
10.
rules, so just go with it.
8 out of 10.
For both, got it.
Next.
Okay, that just leaves me as the boss man who watches everything. So I'm gonna give AEW this week overall, taking into consideration what everyone else has said, and then my own personal enjoyment. I give this week of AEW programming a safe 7 out of 10 for me. Obviously, Rampage did a lot. Rampage was a lot of fun this week. Collision, while all over the place, definitely had some more funner matches for me. But Dynamite also tends to have the better pacing when it comes to certain things. So it was a safe week for AEW. I give it a 7 out of 10. And that brings us to the end of episode 1 of the All Elite Ensemble reviews. We did it.
I just want to do a final thought thing. And I kind of want to do a lightning round with everyone. So the final thought is, how do we feel this past week of AEW programming has done leading into All In? You have 1 minute to comment, starting with Mikey. Go.
I thought a lot of stories got progressed, especially, on the MJF Will Ospreay front and a little bit of Mariah and Tony. But again, it's really hard to build up, Mercedes and Britt since Britt is suspended. And then, we completely forgot the plot that Jack Perry is defending his title against Darby Allin. So hopefully we'll see that this week. And I'm hoping that we get more matches announced. Like, we don't know if the trios are going to be there or the tag is going to be there, if the Continental's going to be there or on television. We got 3 weeks to figure it out. So I thought MJF and Will Ospreay got a lot more of the progression, especially Swerve and Danielson, but that's about it.
All right. Let me reset the stopwatch. Okay. Going to you, JVL. Same question. And go.
Basically, seeing that AEW was up against SummerSlam this last week as well, trying to lead into that and trying to program against it, I was pleasantly surprised with what they could pull off. I don't think they could have gone. They didn't go as far as they could have, but that's mostly because they knew they were counter programming. So giving them that boost with it and making sure they still further things getting into it, I give them a lot of praise for trying their best in a hard situation.
Okay. And finally, Professor.
It sounds like for the first time in a long time, they have all three brands going home at the same time. In the past, they've all been sort of disjointed and sort of who's leading where for what. And just hearing from everyone, it looks like we're all on the same page going towards something. So creative has kind of figured it out. I'm not saying it doesn't come unraveled. There's still work to do. I agree with what JBL was saying as far as being counter programming. How do we match up against that sort of thing? I think they did as much as they could have. Give the women more time, stop cutting their promos, and maybe that stuff will solve itself. Stop leaning on your big faces. There's more talent there. We'll see where we're going.
All right. There we go.
Cool.
Yeah. Go ahead and outro us, Mikey.
Alice, did you have any thoughts into this too?
Murder.
Do you have any thoughts?
I do. I would like to hear your thoughts.
You want to ask everybody a question and you ain't gonna say nothing.
He does this all the time, Alice. He doesn't do the homework.
She gonna kill you.
Would you like to tie me as well?
Yes, actually.
Okay.
Thank you.
Alice coming for you. This is great.
Yeah,
I love Alice.
This is why I've been saying we needed Alice on every review we have.
You get the finger wag. Yes.
Alice is on it. This is amazing.
We are spoiled rotten to have her on this right now.
Seriously.
Everyone.
You have to start speaking.
All right. So I feel that this past week of AEW programming actually, much like the professor said, it felt more together and like it was going towards leading towards all in. I also agree with JVL in that yes, they did have to program against SummerSlam, so maybe they did just like the big talking points this past weekend, and now this upcoming week is when we get the rest of the meat and potato stuff. Overall, I'm happy. Because it actually feels like it's going somewhere, unlike other AEW PLEs where it was just kind of like all over the place.
You were the longest winded. Just under 1 minute.
Yes. Oh, this is going to be a fun show every week.
But yeah, so I'm excited. The only things I care about on All In are Will Ospreay and
MJF,
and also Tony Storm.
And Tony, yeah.
And this week was strong build up for both. So I'm looking forward to it.
Heck yeah, that's what it's about. And I am super excited. This was a litmus test because this was our premiere show. And I think we can do this every single week with AEW. This is going to be fun. I love this crew. It's going to get chaotic AF. But that's going to be it for us here at the All Elite Ensemble review. You can catch BC WrestlePod back once again on Friday with ROH and TNA discussions, as that's also getting kind of crazy over there in those respective lands. Maybe you'll have to tune in to find out our thoughts. But From all of us here at All Elite Ensemble and just the BC WrestlePod, family, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay iconic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We'll catch you Friday for the back-to-back ROH and TNA reviews, but until then, sayonara, adios, and we'll see you later.
Always talks outro.
Bye.